Hello, welcome to His Word in Wood. My name is Rick Arndt, and tonight we're going to be going through Chapter 5 of our new book, Understanding the Foundations. Chapter 5 asks the question, what does true salvation look like? So let's see what the Scriptures has to say about that. For the past few days, I have been pondering the meaning of salvation. We use that term so carelessly. The question is not so much, what must I do to be saved? As much as it is, what does true salvation look like? I read this incredible passage tonight in Exodus 33, verses 12 through 18, that uniquely answers that question. So let's have a look. Moses said to the Lord, "See, you say to me, bring up this people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, I know you by name, and you have found favor in my sight. Now therefore, if I have found favor in your sight, please show me your ways, that I may know you, in order to find favor in your sight. Consider too that this nation is your people." And the Lord said, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." And Moses said to him, "If your presence will not go with me, please do not send us up from here. For how shall it be known that I have found favor in your sight, I and your people? Is it not in your going with us that we are distinct, I and your people, from every other people on the face of the earth?" And the Lord said to Moses, "This very thing you have spoken I will do, for you have found favor in my sight, and I do know you by name." Moses said, "Please, show me your glory." We are all familiar with the things that Moses did, but this passage gives us a unique glimpse into the depth of his relationship with God. That one statement, "Now therefore, if I have found favor in your sight, please show me now your ways, that I may know you, in order to find favor in your sight." That totally sums it up. There are only two groups of people in this world: his and not his. The chief characteristic about being his is not so much what we do, but that our heart's cry is that we may be pleasing to him in all that we do. Moses, who knew God better than anyone else in the world, is crying out for God to teach him his ways so that he could know him more. Knowing God is not the same thing as knowing about God. Knowing him is walking in his ways to become like him. Verse 11 says, "The Lord used to speak to Moses face to face, as a man speaks to his friend." Moses' heart cry was for that one-of-a-kind relationship to continue growing deeper and deeper. When we walk in that kind of relationship with God, we will be totally distinct from everyone else in the world. Why? Because God's presence in our lives will be obvious as his character is manifested through our lives. Are we unmistakably his? Does it even matter? Well, In Matthew 7:21 through 23, Jesus says the most frightening words in the entire Bible. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in the heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do many mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. Can you imagine the terror that you would feel in that moment? The absolute hopelessness. If you have accepted a cheap imitation salvation and you have been living your own way to please yourself, you may not be His. And even if you are His, but you've accepted the lie that it doesn't matter how you live, you are both dishonoring your Lord and King and also throwing away your own heritage. Either way, please consider carefully these words of encouragement from Jeremiah 29. And remember that these words were spoken to people who were living in the terrible judgment that they had brought upon themselves by their sin. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will hear you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and I will restore your fortunes and gather you from all the nations and all the places where I have driven you, declares the Lord. And I will bring you back to the place from which I sent you into exile. Seek Him as Moses sought Him with all your heart, and find the peace and fulfillment of living in His presence. Shalom.